And now for the man in the other corner. The insults have been flying. Jules doesn't seem to know when they first started, and I know the tickets will shortly start to fly out. I've spoken to George. Now it's James's turn. James, good evening.
Good evening, Bunsey.
Well, you've heard George there make one or two claims. Can I ask you, James, when do you think the insults started or the bad blood started? Apart from the obvious, the night you met, at Brent Town Hall.
Probably.
George Groves, thanks very much indeed. And now for the man in the other corner. The insults have been flying. Jules doesn't seem to know when they first started, and I know the tickets will shortly start to fly out. I've spoken to George. Now it's James's turn. James, good evening.
Good evening, Bunsey.
Well, you've heard George there make one or two claims. Can I ask you, James, when do you think the insults started or the bad blood started? Apart from the obvious, the night you met, at Brent Town Hall.
Probably when we both turned professional.
And people started. Oh, we just lost you. Well, hopefully James DeGale will come back. Can we call him, please? See if we can get James DeGale back. We just lost him. He's just popped off. We kept James waiting 10 minutes, but I know that he's okay to do it. So hopefully we'll get James back. This is what happens when you do. That's what happens when you do live radio. I tell you what. In the meantime, why not? And the man, let's have a chat to the man who was in charge of making this fight, Frank Well, and he's excited. It's big, and he knows it. He's dominated the big nights in London for about 30 years. If it's sold out and it's crossover appeal, then Frank's generally been the promoter. Okay, if we can't get James DeGale, so what we'll do is we'll hear from Frank. We sent BBC London 94.9's Anchor Desai down to see him today, and Anchor started off by asking Frank just how big this fight will be.
Yeah, I didn't realise how bad the rivalry was between them. Obviously it's stemming back from where James got involved when they back to their amateur days. But it's certainly there, and I don't think there's any love lost. And on the 21st, I think we were in for a real explosive night with them.
I was going to say, for domestic public, how big is this fight?
Between them, they've had 22 fights. They're fighting for the British and Commonwealth. But it's got everything about it that Ben and Eubank days had. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we could have kept them apart probably for another year, 18 months. But the Border Control called for the fight, so we've gone with it. And the bottom line is, I think it's going to be as big as their fights.
I was going to say, in terms of London boxing as well, having two local lads go at it, and the rivalry and the history. Right, do you think there's an element of the emotion spilling over slightly?
I think, like all these press conferences, a lot of things are said, and you get a lot of name calling and all the stuff that goes on. Come tonight, they'll be professional. Once that bell goes, it's going to be. There's no doubt about it. It'll be fireworks. I'll tell you why there'll be fireworks. It'll be for their own fans. There'll be a lot of pride involved. It's not just about the British and Commonwealth title and the winner going on and doing bigger and better things. It's the better of West London. They both come from the same area. So who's going to be the boss of the area?
And what sort of a stepping stone is this for James, actually? He's got a world title fight, would you say, in a year, 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to win it first. I'm confident he can win it, but it's not going to be an easy job. If he comes through it and he does win, then obviously we'll move his career along even further. But he's got to get through it. What people forget about James, he's got a great temperament. What he did in going up to fight in Liverpool in Paul Smith's backyard I thought was quite a significant moment in his career. And he's been used to the big stage. He's performed, as I say, did it up there. He did it in the Olympic Games, won the gold medal. So when the chips are down, he's got the temperament to deliver. So I'm hoping that's to be the case this time.
And that could be the turning point in many ways. What Frank says there, he's got the temperament to deliver. George, he's won a Commonwealth title and he won a couple of ABA titles. He's been on big shows. He's been on David Hayes' undercard, massive nights when David's had big fans in, but the pressure's not really been on him. James, he had a bit of pressure when he went and won the British title against Paul Smith, the British champion, and there was tremendous pressure on him. Absolutely, Smith was teak tough, never been stopped, and it was in front of Smith's fans, good house up in Liverpool, and James did a brilliant job to beat Paul Smith that night. And of course, in the Olympic final, all the way through the Olympic final, the Cuban goes out, bites him in the first 20 seconds, butts him, sticks his elbow on him, sticks his nut on him, absolutely jumps all over James. James stayed calm. So that was, so trust me, he's been in a bit of pressure. So I think, there is a point there to what Frank Warren says. Listen, we got James back. James, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Bunty.
Yeah, so listen, thanks for staying there. Now James, we had George on, and you listened to it. We did the courtesy of having you listen to it. George thinks that today you sort of run out of things to say, and he saw through you. What was your interpretation of what happened today?
To be honest, I think it went pretty well. Obviously at the press conference, if anything, I got under his skin. Yeah, and then at ringside, I think once again I got under his skin, but it don't matter. All the talking, all the hype before, it really does not matter, because it's only me and him that's getting in the ring on the 21st of May, so it don't matter. But this is all good. I all like this. This is all banter for me. I find it hilarious, Bunty. I like it.
I know you like the banter. I know that, son. I know that.
I love it. I love it.
No, because I know that, you know, in the build-up to the Smith fight, you did the same thing. But this, with Smith, it wasn't personal. Surely this, James, and I know you might say it isn't, but surely this is personal. Surely this is different, isn't it?
Of course it is. I've said it from day dot. This is personal, and yeah, obviously it does get on my nerves a little bit. Of course, I generally do not like him, Bunty. Serious.
But
whatever he says, he's very smug, and he says things in different ways. But he don't like me. I don't like him, mate.
No, James, was there bad blood, animosity? Did you dislike each other before you fought? You know, we're not going to talk about the contest and who won and who didn't win. Before you fought in the Northwest Divs, was there a bit of friction between the pair of you then? Because at the time people talked about, there was no friction, but I'm starting to talk to people and understand more. There was, wasn't it? Tell me about that.
There was. We've never ever been friends, and there was friction there. So yeah, basically there was. Yeah, there's nothing much I can say apart from there was.
Now,
listen. We've never socialised together.
Yeah.
We've never been proper mates. Do you know what I'm saying? There's always been a rivalry. We've always been like similar ages and similar weights. The sparring's always been heated. I've always beat him up in sparring. And whatever he says, he is a barefaced. That's another thing I noticed at the press conferences and at ringside at the Scottish Studio today. Barefaced lying. And I just don't know how he can sit there and lie like that.
You had enough today, because he's saying, you just said that's it. I've had enough. You had enough today. You had enough for being nice.
Right at the end, when we finished the film, I said, "Can we leave, please? Because he's annoying. See that little ugly face? I want to hit it." So I said, "I'm going to go." He was getting on my nerves. See him and his smug team, Adam Booth.
Yep.
They were all getting on my nerves, Bunce. I just needed to get out of there. I've had enough of him. I was with him all day today. Him with his little voice. I just couldn't bear it.
I tell you what, James, it is building up to something special, isn't it? I mean, take yourself out of the fight and imagine you're a fan.
I know.
It's looking good, isn't it?
The amount of people messaging me on my email, on my fan page on Facebook, on my Twitter is unbelievable. I've bought my tickets already. Please knock out Ugly Kid. Do him. He's so annoying. He's so smug. This, that is brilliant.
Well, listen,
brilliant.
James. Listen, you both had a good run, and I mean, it's one of those fights that obviously hopefully I'll be working on tonight, but it's going to be a fantastic event. I'll come and see you out in Loughton. Come and see you and Jim train, just like I would go and see him, George and Adam training, and I'll speak to you before the fight.
What do you reckon the result?
I want to see the pair of you in the gym, because I've made that mistake before. I never call it until the day. Look at Enzo and David Hay. People were saying to me, call it, and I wouldn't call it. I said, because I want to see what state. I want to see who leaves the changing room in a state. And when David came out of the changing room and the first chords of that song came up, and he looked at that crowd for about 5 minutes, and I turned to the people I was with and I said, this is going to be a walkover. People will tell you, because sometimes that's when it can be decided. If you fell apart on the walkout in front of 18,000 people, or if he fell apart on the walkout to 18,000 people, it could be decided then, James.
You know I don't do that though.
No. Hey, listen. And no one thought Enzo Macronelli would do it. When he came out, he ran 100 miles an hour to the ring and fell apart. Not that I'm saying David wouldn't have beaten him, but that's what happened.
Yeah, of course.
Telling you, it's going to be a brilliant event. James DeGale.
It's exciting though, man. It's exciting. I can't wait.
It's pure excitement. James, thanks very much for your time this evening. James DeGale there, putting me on the spot. I'm not answering questions just yet. There's no need to answer questions just yet. Anyway.